I got my focus on passion and empathy, gaining perspectives, investing, I do believe money and grinding go hand in hand, you will see. I'm working smart, expending my energy, hope that you feeling me. I'm acting differently, you got a friend in me. I'm working hard to try and work smart, no time to complain, it's time to start, we gotta work. Future millionaires.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Future Millionaires. Get ready, wake up, and get locked in because today we have on Jeff Fenster, who is the founder of Everbowl, Superfuel Coffee, and We Build. With that being said, he's an entrepreneur instructor at the Forbes School of Business and Technology, as well as a speaker. So without further ado, Jeff, how you doing today?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your show and excited to be here today.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I'd love for you to share a 60-second snippet of where you're at right now in your life and business, just so the listeners can get a little perspective on what you're, prioritizing right now.
Yeah, sure. I'm a father of two daughters. I got a 14-year-old who's a freshman in high school and an 8-year-old who's in second grade. Well, they were as of a couple of days ago. I don't know if the school year is officially over or what's going on. And running 3 companies, trying to basically proliferate the access to superfoods nationwide as we go. And we're now franchising. So we're trying to expand the everbowl footprint from where we currently are on the West Coast to across the country. Continue to give people access to superfoods through coffee with Superfuel Coffee, which we sell online, Amazon, superfuelcoffee.com, as well as through our stores and some Sprouts. And then We Build, where we build not only our stores, but now we're starting to do third-party jobs. And then also trying to be a family man and my daughters and my wife.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're definitely going to dive into, all those throughout the podcast. But we got a lot of young listeners here. And one thing that I always like to do with my guests is just kind of run through when entrepreneurship was first introduced into your life, your early upbringing, and then when you realized that, entrepreneurship was a path that you wanted to pursue.
Yeah, sure. So went to law school to be a sports agent after college. Graduated law school, was planning on being a sports agent, had a job lined up with Lee Steinberg, and ultimately decided I didn't want to pursue that career. Me and my wife, our youngest was born while I was, was a little baby while I was in law school. And just really decided that I didn't want to run around the country representing athletes. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I got a job selling payroll services for a company called ADP, which is one of the largest payroll services in the country. I was there 6 months and leveraging a lot of experience that I had built up over my teenage and early adulthood years through internship and mentors. I was able to be very successful there. I became the number 1 sales rep in the country out of about 2,300 sales reps. And first to make President's Club, got a boatload of money and awards and built my ego up pretty big. And I was only there 6 months, but I earned this Pinnacle Award, which was basically like this award you get at the end of the year. And I went to my boss in January and said I'd like to get my bonus. It was $17,000. And they explained to me I had to wait to the end of the fiscal year, which would end in June. So I get it in July. And I had just bought a house. I was engaged. We were getting married. I had law school debt. I had a daughter. So ultimately I needed the money. And I said, listen, I can't wait 6 months. I'm happy to take on another quota. I'm happy to do more, but I want my money I earned. And they basically told me no. So I, in an ego heated moment, threatened to quit if they didn't give it to me. And they called my bluff and said, if you want to quit, but you can't have your bonus till the end of the year. So I went home that day, spoke to my fiance and said, I want to quit this job. I want to sell the house. I want to move in with my mom and dad, and I want to start a payroll company of my own. And she was supportive. And so I did. I quit the very next day, moved in with my mom and dad, brought my fiance and daughter with me, and with a partner started a payroll business. That was my first taste of entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. So how'd you pick your partner throughout that too?
What's that? I'm sorry?
I said, how'd you pick your partner throughout that too for your first company?
He was actually one of my best friends, and I got him a job at ADP. So he was there about 3 months. And I told him, hey, let's not waste our time here. Let's go do this. And I convinced him to jump and join me.
True. That's the sales coming out right there, the persuasion.
Exactly.
So within 6 months, how were you able to jump to the number 1 salesperson at that company so quickly?
So Yeah, so I utilized a couple tactics. The first one is my business principles today, my two core values. It's making friends and having fun. That's the two
Yeah.
rules to work at any of my companies. That's my two business principles. And I use that in sales, and I think everyone should. If you try to sell people products, they won't buy it. If you sell
Hmm.
yourself and you just be a good person, make friends with them and have some fun, they're going to want to buy your product if your product provides value. So what I did is I made a lot of friends and I leveraged a lot of relationship capital that I had built up over the last 20 years, and really reached out to friends and said, listen, I just want to see if I can help. If I can't help, there's nothing here for you. But if I can show you how I can add value, let's do it. So luckily, I had a lot of friends that were using Paychex or third-party payroll companies. And when I got to see their invoice, I had a lot of autonomy at ADP to help them save money. And this was 2007, 2008. So the recession
Yeah.
was just about to start. But everyone was looking to save money. Actually, the recession started about a month after I started my company, which was phenomenal timing on my part.
Yeah, honestly.
And utilize those tactics really, of making friends and providing value. So that's kind of how I did it. And I started to think outside the box. While everyone else was in my company was selling payroll, I started going to bankers and I said, listen, you need banking clients. I need payroll clients. Everyone who comes in here to open up a business banking account has employees,
That's
therefore
smart,
needs
yeah.
payroll. And everyone I sign up for payroll needs a banking. So I'll make you a deal. I'll bring you introductions to every single one of my clients if you give me introductions to every single one of yours. And I started to do that and got a lot of leads and warm referrals from the banker because, the talk track was simple. If I met with you, I would say, listen, who do you bank with? Oh, I banked with Wells Fargo. Well, my banker was with Bank of America. So I would say, well, fantastic. But listen, because I'm taking on your payroll and you're with ADP, we do a partnership with Bank of America. And my friend John over at Bank of America takes care of all my clients. He's going to make sure you have his free checking accounts and really take care of you. Can I make an introduction? It's a very simple talk track. You do it enough times, you get a few that say yes. As soon as you start giving value back to your banker, your CPA, your insurance broker, or anyone else that provides ancillary services that shares the same kind of client, they're more than happy to make those warm introductions back. Because if John doesn't give me referrals, I'm going to take my business to another banker. But I'm doing his job for him while he's stuck in the bank, and he's doing my job for me while I'm out there pounding the pavement. So I started to build champions around me. And between my champions, between my relationship capital, I went to my mentors and my friends and I would say, listen, who do you know that owns a business with 50 or less employees? Do you mind making a list for me? They'd make a list. Do you mind making a warm introduction, letting them know that I just joined at ADP? I have a lot of autonomy. If I can't save them money or add them more value, no harm, no foul, but would they meet with me? And I set those meetings up and I, through 500-600 of those, I was able to close a couple hundred clients and be the number one sales rep.
No, that's awesome. I'm a huge fan of innovating sales and, taking something that's traditionally just viewed as like, here's what you do and really putting your own twist on it. So, I mean, with that being said too, when you first started out and you just, had to make your own friends and kind of build your network from there, did you go to events? Were you just kind of like utilizing different social media platforms, all of the above, or how did that kind of look like in that scenario?
Well, unfortunately, there wasn't really social media platforms back then. So no, I wasn't able to use those. But no, again, I don't do what everyone else does. So the biggest mistake everyone makes is they follow the crowd. And if I was going to give advice to entrepreneurs listening today, or salesmen, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Anyone, you're all an entrepreneur, even if you work for someone else. I mean, you own your own business, which is your career. So even if you never want to start your own company, you own your own career. How are you going to navigate throughout your company to stand out and separate yourself? And the key is to stand out and separate yourself. So if everybody else is going to network events, why are you going to a networking event? Everyone at a networking event just wants other people to network for them. Everyone just is there to say, what can people do for me? Flip it on its head. What's the purpose of networking? To meet people. So what I would do is I would go and meet people outside of networking events and give value, right? So very simply, I'd go to lawyers and I would say, listen, I meet with business owners every single day. A lot of them need, business in my payroll business. A lot of them need, entity setup, contract reviews, employee related HR issues. So I would go and meet these lawyers and attorneys and I would just say, listen, as I come across clients, I'm looking to have a team around me of people that can provide these services that I trust. And I'd make friends and I would start giving them clients without asking for anything. I paid it forward first without anything in return. But what happens is when you start paying it forward and you give first and you come from a place of generosity, people naturally want to help you. I guarantee you, if someone came up to me and gave me a massive contract for Super Fuel Coffee, hey, you know what? My father or mother or brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle works at such and such company. Can I hook you up and get your Super Fuel Coffee in there? and it's successful, I guarantee you now that person they've just made a deposit in their relationship capital bank account with me.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, I am going to either pay it back to them if they ever need something, or if I come across an opportunity that I think would help them, I'm going to give it to them. So it's about not thinking about networking events as what can people do for me, but it's really about flipping on its head and making as many, I talk about this a lot, but it's like everyone has a relationship capital bank account like you have a money bank account. And the more deposits you make in as many people's accounts as you can, the more relationship capital you have to use when you need it, or when people are out there being a champion for you. You'll never find anyone who isn't successful if they have a lot of good quality relationships in their business. Because you see it all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, so-and-so just got that promotion because he knows so-and-so, or she knows so-and-so, or she's so-and-so's daughter or cousin or friend of a cousin. Well, yeah, that's how this world works. It's who you know. And building up your relationships is critical for that.
That's awesome. So what would you say, because honestly, when I always like doing research on the guests that I bring on the show. And when I went to your LinkedIn page, I saw so many different, ventures and whatnot that you dove into. And that really fascinated me, because I'm just wondering, what did you learn from all those different ventures? Like the biggest key things, especially from your first one, that ended up leading to now being able to manage 3 successful companies?
Well, most people think they're an entrepreneur because they're starting a company and they have to know and be an expert in their field. I couldn't disagree with that more. I think experience is the most overrated prerequisite to starting a company. I think if you have all this experience, you're going to do it just like everyone else does. Like when I started Everbowl, everyone told me 9 out of 10 restaurants fail, Jeff. What are you doing? Restaurants are hard. No one is successful in restaurants. You're not a chef. You don't know anything about restaurants. Well, the truth is, most people who start restaurants come from a restaurant background, and 9 out of 10 of them fail. So if I had experience, 90% of the time I'm going to fail, but I don't have experience. I don't know anything about restaurants. I don't know how to cook. It doesn't matter. I know how to build successful businesses. I know how to problem solve. I know how to pivot. I know how to attract world-class talent to join me because I know how to make friends and have fun. I know how to build a culture. And knowing those things is how you build successful companies. And it all starts with problem solving. Entrepreneurs or CEOs or executives' job is to be a problem solver. You're constantly solving problems, and how you're able to do that will dictate whether or not you're successful. So I jumped from industry to industry to industry with 0 experience. Yes, I went from a payroll business to a recruiting agency to some online websites to a digital marketing agency to a restaurant chain to a coffee company to a construction company. And I can't make food. I don't know how to use a hammer. I don't know how to work a computer, but it doesn't matter because I know how to build companies. I know how to bring people together. I know how to make friends. I know how to drive opportunity. And when you put the right team together, they're the experts, and I give them the credit, So it also, you have to lose the ego. That's one of the things I learned that has made me way more successful today than early on. I don't need credit for that. For the things we do, it's my team, and I bring on great people who put in great systems and processes and ideas, and together we're successful because they're amazing. And I stand on the shoulders of all the great people on my teams, but I'm good at bringing people together. So that's my superpower, is problem solving, innovation, and putting teams together. And now I bring on the right people who can execute and deliver and help us go through the motions.
No, that's awesome. So I want to ask one more question before we dive into, Everbowl and everything you guys have been doing with that, which is with digital marketing and your agency that you started. That's something that I'm currently running. It's a venture that, I find very enjoyable. Clearly, I'm sure it's at a smaller scale than yours got to at that point, but I'm getting there. I'm scaling it up, Jeff.
There's no competition. It's just you versus you every day, man. Just
I
keep
know,
getting better every day.
But gosh, I know how high I can go. So I'm just excited about it, But with that being said, what were things that you did differently? Because right now, similar to what you said in the restaurant space, I'm seeing a lot of digital marketing agencies doing the exact same thing. So what's something that, you did differently to stick out and whatnot with your agency?
Well, first and foremost, I didn't know anything about computers at all. So I needed to have a partner who did. So I partnered with a guy named Neil Patel. Yeah. So you probably know Neil. Neil has his own agencies now, Neil Patel Digital. He's the co-founder of Kissmetrics, Hello Bar, Crazy Egg, speaks internationally. Quick Sprout is his blog, which is phenomenal for learning digital marketing for anyone who's out there and wants. And he has masterminds and courses. And if you need to learn, he's a phenomenal resource. So when I set out, it was 2012, and I didn't know anything about the computer. So I reached out to a friend of mine named Pat Flynn, who is also pretty well renowned. If you need to start a podcast or you're interested, I'm going to give him some shout out, but smartpassiveincome.com is his website. And the SPI podcast is phenomenal. And I reached out to him and said, listen, I want to pay you a bunch of money to teach me digital marketing. And he said, Jeff, the name of my website and business is Smart Passive Income. And it's not passive if I spend my effort and energy teaching you. So I can't do that, but you should meet a guy named Neil Patel. And I said, I don't know who Neil Patel is. And he's like, oh, he's a rock star in the industry. You probably should know him if you want to get in. I was like, okay. I'd love the introduction. So he connected us via email and we set up a phone call. And my plan was not to call Neil just out of the blue and be like, yeah, you don't know me. But no, my plan was to stand out. So I did what I'm good at. And I went out and I sold a 6-figure digital marketing contract. And when I got on the phone with Neil, I said, Neil, I'm going to pay you 6 figures. I just sold our first client together. Oh, by the way, I'm Jeff. And his eyes were like, who are you? You know?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, what did this guy just say? But yeah. I stood out, right? All of a sudden, I'm different than every other phone call he's ever had. And he at least took the meeting with me. And when he met me, I made friends with him. And I was like, look, I don't need to make any money on any of these clients. I'm not in this to make some money right now. I'm in this to learn, and I want to learn, and I want to partner together. I got a big Rolodex of relationships. I've built up my relationship capital. I mean, at this point, I was almost 29. So for the 29 years before, and I want to be able to leverage that to introduce them to digital marketing because the computer isn't going anywhere. It's 2012. There was a lot of businesses that were just kind of trying to figure this out. Yeah. And I had access to the decision makers and Neil was the expert. And I'm like, with your knowledge and my relationships, we have an easy way to grow a significant business. And he was open to it. And then, so we ended up working together on a few deals, and then we partnered, and then we worked on some very major deals together. And we had a really nice business for 5 years. And he's one of my best friends now. And he's a phenomenal human being. And, you know, in 2015, just like everything else, I kind of got tired of doing the same thing. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I learned that about myself. I'm not a lifer in anything. I'm 3 to 5 years, and then I want to do something else and break into another industry and have some fun and start over. And it was time. And, you know, Neil's a lifer in the digital marketing space. So he started Neil Patel Digital in 2015. And I went out and took some time off and then started Everbowl in 2016.
No, that's awesome. And that fascinates me how you literally created you said you already had the contract structured for a 6-figure deal when you first met Neil. So how were you able to make that happen?
So I reached out to a very big company that was doing about $30 to $40 million a year offline and under $1 million online. And I knew that because one of the ways that you make friends is I'm always talking to my friends and relationships and asking, how's business? What's going on? What are some problems you're dealing with? I know a lot of people, if there's anything I can do to help. And one of the things I had heard through the grapevine from them is they needed help online, that they felt like so much of their business was offline and they had to figure out the online space. So I went to them and said, listen, I'll make you a deal. You're doing under $1 million a year online. I took the gamble not knowing anything, but I said, I will take this contract for free, but I want upside. And I want a percentage of all the gain. And I think we could 2x your business this year. And I structured it to where we would make at least 6 figures. Yeah. I went to Neil and I wrote him a check for 6 figures out of my own pocket and basically said, I'll take the upside until I made whole. And then we go 50-50. So Neil was guaranteed a 6-figure contract. I was very confident that Neil was going to be able to help them. And I bet on that because he's the best and they had a good business. They were doing, like I said, they were doing over 30 million offline. So if you're selling a product offline, in the apparel business, you can sell more of it online. And I took that gamble I bet on myself and I bet on Neil, and I wrote Neil a check, and that was kind of how I structured it. So I got them to agree to give it to me on complete upside. And if we didn't succeed, it was on me. But no risk, no gain, right? So if you're not willing to bet on yourself, then who are you going to bet on?
That's big facts, to be honest. Gosh, no, that's awesome that you were able to bring in a rock star by really pulling off your own rock star move there. Because that takes guts. That takes, really, like you said, betting on yourself. So with that being said, and, going into Everbowl, like you said earlier, the good old 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. I would love to kind of start with why you started Everbowl, like what you saw, what you want to fulfill, what you want to learn, just like your mission with it all.
So my mission was, it's my passion. I'm all about the word unevolve. It's on my shirt. It's on the back of my hat. It's a word I created and trademarked. It means to move and eat the way you were meant to, live actively, and eat stuff that's been around forever. It's very simple. But
yeah.
in America specifically, obesity, heart disease, stroke, and cancer is just plaguing our society. So many people are dealing with these, family members, friends, neighbors, strangers. And when you really peel back the onion, you realize that 80% of them can be avoided through lifestyle changes, through eating real food and moving our bodies. Well, okay, I'm at a point in my life where I can do what I'm passionate about. And besides my family and startups, I'm passionate about health and wellness. And why not do a startup around health and wellness? So Everbowl's plan was to reinvent the fast food market. The average American eats fast food over 3 times a week. McDonald's, Jack in the Box, and all of those fast and fried places that are just not good for us. And I wanted to understand why. Why are we doing this to ourselves? The science is out there. Everyone knows it. That's like smoking. Everyone knows smoking cigarettes is bad for you.
Yeah.
People do it because they're addicted, right? That's why people do it. Okay. But we're not addicted to a cheeseburger. So why are we eating so many of them? Why are we going and getting, all this fast fried food on a daily basis and not moving our body? And it comes down to 4 excuses. And I narrowed them all down. I did some research, and there's 4 reasons or 4 excuses we make to why we eat unhealthy every day. And it's either it costs too much to eat healthy, in our mind anyway. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't fill you up and leave you satisfied, or you just can't get it. You have 30 minutes or an hour for lunch. You go to the shopping center, and these are your choices. So I said, okay, if I can build a business around delicious, affordable, filling, and accessible food that's healthy and good for you, I have something. Because people want to eat healthy. If you give them something that's affordable, filling, delicious, and accessible, they're going to choose it. They're not going to be like, oh, I want to kill myself. Let me eat this thing that's bad for me. It's just that thing that's bad for me is either cheaper, tastes better, or is going to leave me full. It's like I could eat a salad, but I'm going to be hungry in 30 minutes. That double with fries, I'm feeling good. I'm full all day. So I imported a lot of superfoods into my home. I'm kind of a bit of a hypochondriac. Personally, I'm like afraid of disease. So I want to prevent illness, and I think it's easier to prevent illness than cure illness. And so Everbowl was built to solve that. And so I started Everbowl, and Everbowl's tagline is made from stuff that's been around forever. And Unevolved's definition is live actively and eat stuff that's been around forever. So the live actively side, I'm not touching with Everbowl, but with the restaurants, that's what it is. And so I reverse engineered my menu to make it one price with big portions, let you choose everything you want. So therefore, you'll be full, you'll be able to afford it, and you'll like it because you pick the ingredients. And then I had to open a lot of restaurants. And because I had to open a lot of restaurants, I had to reverse engineer why it cost so much money to build them. Because my first one cost me almost $250,000. And that's expensive. How am I going to build a lot of them? So I started a construction company to just build my own stores, and realized if I could build my own stores, I could build a lot of them. And so, I did. I started WeBuild. The real name of the company is We Build One Word Stuff. We build stuff, and we build Everbowls. And and from there I was able to really grow. And I went from one store and I opened in October 2016 with one. I opened 3 more in 2017, and then I opened 14 of them in 2018. And now we have almost 30 locations, and we're in multiple states. And plan now is to franchise, and we just did a 20-unit franchise deal. So I just sold 20 that is going scattered around the country. We're in discussion with some big-time professional athletes and celebrities that want to open a lot of stores. And then I wanted to create a franchise model that actually brought Everbowl and franchising back to what it was meant to. You try to go franchise one of the big chains, you have to have excessively high net worth, and you have to have a lot of money. So it's really not made for the, someone like yourself who might graduate college in a year or two and wants to own their own business, but doesn't have an idea, and they want to actually buy a franchise. Like, you can't go buy a McDonald's unless your family's already wealthy. You have to have $1.5 million liquidity in the bank, and it's going to cost you $1.5 million to build. So I wanted to reverse engineer and franchising and go back to what franchising was meant for, which was people like yourself. And so for us, we're trying to offer Everbowl franchises for around $100,000 all in. And I don't care what your net worth is. I care what your work ethic is. And can you make friends and have fun? And are you a hard worker? If the answer is yes, I'm joining the Everbowl family. You can afford it because it's $100,000 is obtainable through SBA and other financing. $1.5 million is a different number. And let's have some fun. Let's spread the health and wellness, and let's build the Everbowl brand. And then Super Fuel Coffee was because I can't open stores fast enough. So like, you're in Wisconsin, and I can't get you to go to an Everbowl right now, but I can get you to go to Amazon.com and buy Super Fuel Coffee. And that allows me to introduce my brand to you outside the four walls, leverage my digital marketing experience I've had, understand that I can geo-target locations before I open, build my brand inside your home or in your office, and give us something to talk about when I'm on podcasts or on stages or being interviewed. Superfuel Coffee is where you can start, right? My unique selling proposition is simple. You drink coffee every day, but you don't always eat superfoods. So why not drink superfoods with your coffee? And once you make that decision, why you'll choose our superfood coffee is because, trust me, we're the superfood experts. We opened a chain of superfood restaurants. I focus on acai and superfoods. So you might as well buy it from me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's like you just, spoke and wrapped a present, and now we're, about to unwrap and really dive into everything. So I'm excited to get into, what you just laid out there. So starting out with, heading into the industry, did you know that you want to franchise it right off the bat? Or is that something where you were like, okay, like actually after this proven model, now I want to franchise it?
Yeah, no, I never wanted to franchise. My plan was to never franchise because, like I said, franchising is broken. The way it is, I wasn't supportive of. I didn't want people to spend $250,000 to build an everbowl, and then if you pick the wrong location, you lose. You don't make any money. You're unhappy. I only can get wealthy people to buy it because of high net worth, so therefore they're not that passionate about it.
True.
They're not going to work in the business. No, I didn't want any of that. But once I realized between WeBuild and sourcing my own ingredients and our model, and we were able to build something that we could do for $100,000 or less, all of a sudden now it became obtainable that I could get the right franchisees, and then franchising became the option.
Okay, great. So then how do you surround yourself with rock stars really because I know franchising is its own animal. Like there's another crazy statistic, statistics don't really matter when you're going to do it, but I know there's a crazy one. It's something like out of 100 franchises, like only one will sell, or even less than that, or something like that, like one franchise. So, how'd you, learn that space? Did you partner up with somebody again or seek counsel from someone who actually has done something successful in the industry?
Yes. So we took an investment from Saruya Private Equity in 2018. They're a big private equity group that owns a ton of franchises. I think they have over 18,000 franchisees in 59 countries. Brands like Pinkberry and Yogan Frus and Hot Dog on a Stick and Round Table Pizza and Swenson's and Yogurties and all of these brands. Well, they approached us to want to be to make an investment into everbowl, and we weren't franchising at the time, but they were smart enough to know that I was going to get there, whether it took me a minute or a year. And that's basically what they told me. They're like, Jeff, you'll figure it out, and we want to be there when you do. So, so they were right, and I figured it out. And they're part of everbowl and one of our partners that we lean on to help us make sure that we are successful in our franchising endeavors.
That's awesome. So then, are they the ones that really, I guess, have helped you scale too? Or is that kind of like what got you started and then you just continue to, leverage other relationships to keep opening locations and, learning on how you want to scale this and whatnot?
Yeah. So they haven't helped us scale. They're just helping us right now with franchising. The scale side was just internally. We were just opening stores and learning as we went.
Yeah. And then I noticed, earlier you talked about rock stars. And, getting rock stars in your business and whatnot. And that really intrigued me because that's something I'm realizing is super important, especially in the digital marketing space, to differentiate, one business from another one. So with that being said, when you bring in rock stars, like different franchisee owners and whatnot, how do you really I guess in those scenarios, is it just back to making friends and having fun? And if it makes sense, it makes sense. I'm just trying to get to the secret sauce of it all, Yeah,
the secret sauce is focus on being the dumbest person in the room. And that's what I like to be, is the dumbest guy in the room. Surround yourself with better people and lose the ego and let them have the autonomy to have ideas and see their ideas come through. If you bring people around you and tell them, no, it's got to be done my way, this is the way we do it here, then you want robots. You don't want rock stars. And that's okay. If you have the right idea and it is, and that's what you want to do, don't try to bring in top people, because if you bring me into your company and I partner and you're going to tell me how I have to do the job, I'm not interested. I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
I know what I'm good at, and I'm good at a few things, and I'm really good at those things, and I'm not good at other things. So the things that I'm really good at, if I have to do it a different way because some boss or some employer or some partner is forcing me to, it's not a good fit. I want to do it the way I know is going to be successful. Conversely, I don't know how to do certain things. So I'm not going to tell you how to do your part of the team, right? Think about it like a sports team, like a baseball team. A second baseman doesn't tell the pitcher how to pitch.
Yeah.
Pitcher doesn't tell the catcher how to catch. Let everyone be their own version of their best self. And if you bring on rock stars and you give them the freedom and autonomy to do what they believe is right and inject their DNA into the business and see their ideas come through and be able to test and try what they believe is the right things, you're going to see your company flourish, and you're going to be surrounded by amazing people that attracts more amazing people. So often entrepreneurs make the mistake of, this is how we do it here. And yeah, if you want that, then you want junior level people who are going to be robotic and just follow your process. And if you're set up for that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's not the question. The question is, how do you attract world-class talent? You attract world-class talent by letting world-class talent be world-class.
Gotcha. And then a lot of times too, I know, clearly world-class talent costs more than junior level talent, right? Sure. So what strategies do you have to kind of make jobs more appealing without breaking the bank and destroying your margins to bring on that kind of talent?
Well, you obviously always have the equity opportunity. I mean, you're right, because world-class talent's expensive, but if they can't justify it, then you picked wrong. The people I brought on, like I'll use Neil as an example. I paid Neil 6 figures before we did anything.
Yeah, true.
I made millions of dollars from that decision. So was he expensive? No, I think he was cheap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Had I paid him 6 figures and made nothing, he was expensive. So have a plan, but if you don't have a path to profitability or a path to how people are going to pay for themselves, I mean, everyone has to pay for themselves. It's a discussion like I've heard, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with anyone on this topic, but my mom was a teacher, and some people would say teachers should get paid more than professional athletes, just as an example.
Yeah.
My mom was a teacher, so I say this out of love. I love my mom, but they shouldn't. They just shouldn't. It's simple economics, revenue generators. Teachers don't generate revenue. They teach. They cost money to teach. They're not bringing money into the system. Tom Brady or LeBron James, with his endorsements and his brand, brings so much money in that they can afford to pay him the $30 million a year because they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year off of his back.
Yeah.
So the owner of the company, the owner of the sports team, is making so much money from him that he's cheap at $30 million a year.
True.
It sounds expensive to a lot of us, but he's cheap. And every team would pay him because you make so much more from having him there. So it goes to the same inside of your company. If you bring someone on and they're expensive, you picked wrong, or they're not set up right, or your strategy's wrong. You need to put your people in place to make you a lot of money. Like I'm really good at sales. I'm really good at making it rain. I'm really good at relationships. If you bring me in to sit behind a computer and do data processing for what I would charge you, you're wasting money.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to generate revenue, and I'm going to cost you a lot of money. No, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but hypothetically. But if you brought me in to make to bring in new deals for business and partner, and you didn't want to give me equity, you wanted to pay me cash, and you paid my rate. Yeah, it's going to seem like a big number, but I guarantee you at the end of the year, you're going to be like, gosh, can Jeff do that again next year? Because I'm going to bring in a lot more business than I'm going to charge. And that's what I do with my consulting clients, and my businesses that pay me, like I do coaching for people, and it's not a fortune, right? I don't destroy the bank, but I try to make sure that anyone who pays me money makes more from my relationships than they pay. So if someone pays me $1,000 a month to coach them, my goal is to make them at least $5,000 a month, so they never want to get rid of me, right?
Yeah.
If someone pays me $100,000, I want to pay them I want to make them a $500,000. And if I can't do that, then they should fire me.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way it goes. I mean, we all have to prove our worth and our value, right? And fortunately, if you don't overprice yourself, right? If LeBron James was like, I want to make $200 million, and he only brought in $100 million for the team, they're going to let him go.
Yeah.
Not worth it, right? So that's just the way you got to think about your talent is, if you can't pay them with cash, you're going to have to pay them with equity or opportunity or lifestyle. When in my recruiting agency, though, I will tell you, I was under the impression when I started that business that people would change jobs for money, right? Oh, pay them more money, they'll change jobs. It's actually not the reason people leave jobs. I was wrong. The number one reason people leave jobs is because of their lifestyle. So if they feel like they're going to have a better work-life balance at the new company for the same or even less money, they'll switch.
Yeah.
So for some people, it might be let them work from home. For some people, it might be let them design the office. I mean, it's whatever they want, right? But that would be my advice.
No, that seems really true, especially I've some experience in that realm as well. One thing our agency does is we help truck drivers. We basically help companies get more truck drivers because it's a big shortage. And that's one thing. Like we have this one company we work with, and their drivers are home each night, and that's like a big appeal. Even though the jobs may pay less, like they actually get a lot of drivers simply because of that reason. So
right.
I definitely see the relevance in what you're saying with that. And like with your 3 businesses that you're focused on right now, I'm sure that you've become a master delegator and kind of setting up systems and whatnot. So do you just bring in people who, you're like, I want this person to help like with this system, or how do you set up, those systems to be so rock solid to be able to scale and still manage 3 successful, or companies at the same time?
Well, they're all vertically integrated, right? So they all feed Everbowl. So Everbowl is the main business. So everything is an offshoot of Everbowl and is not a distraction, but actually supports it, right? So Superfuel Coffee helps us move more acai, which allows me to buy more acai, which allows me to reduce my cost of goods. It allows me to build my brand and my advertising and continue to expand awareness around the brand Everbowl. And We Build is a construction arm which builds Everbowl. So as all the business I need through that company is to go back to Everbowl and support my existing stores and build more stores. So from a supply chain side, or from a processes and procedures perspective, it all stems from Everbowl. And then additionally, the people that we understands that are they all understand how it all flows together and how each piece is connected, and then they just build it out from there.
Yeah, totally. So now, from somebody who went to college and now is extremely in the entrepreneurial game, would you still go back to college? Like, did you find that degree to be worth it, or looking back at it, do you think that you would do it differently?
So undergraduate was amazing. I had a ton of fun. It was an amazing experience. I grew up. Law school was a lot of hard work and very expensive. But yes, I would do them all, even though I don't use either of them specifically. I would go back and do it all again because there's a bunch of things that they provide. Number one, it provides a certain level of credibility when I talk to private equity, venture capital investors, the street, or anyone. Oh, you have your law degree? You have your Juris Doctorate? Yeah, I do. So I am highly educated. I've shown my commitment and my ability to see things through. Even though I don't use them today, it doesn't matter. But I do use it today because I learned analytical thinking in law school. I built relationships in law school. Do you know how many friends of mine in law school are now scattered around the world doing lawyers at major businesses, lawyers at major law firms, lawyers or sports agents, and all these different things that I get to now call them as we're friends. We have a lot of relationship capital that was there. Same thing with undergraduate, and you grow up, right? Listen, if I knew what I wanted to do and I was 17 years old and I graduated, or 18 and I graduated high school, I mean, you don't need college, you don't need it. But life is longer than what you think you want to do today. And the world changes on a dime. I mean, as we are experiencing right now with this coronavirus, right? Like, I got to be honest, the world that your generation grew up with it's over. I mean, when I started my business, literally a month later, the recession happened. And businesses were closing all over the place. The housing market tanked. Unemployment was high. For the last 12 years, you could buy any house, buy any stock, start any company, and you pretty much find or apply to any job, and you'd pretty much be successful. There was no way not to. I mean, the level of success is it's a matter of degree, but houses across the country have been increased in value for the last 12 years. Stocks have gone up to levels we've never seen, and the unemployment rate is at record all-time lows.
Yeah.
That's all about to change, and it's scary, and it's not exciting for me to be the one to say this, but it's the facts.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have an abundance of people out of work. And if you're looking for a job, what is going to distinguish yourself on your resume? Well, I have a law degree and a college degree. So if I wanted to apply for a job, my resume looks good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't ever want a job, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur. That's fine. I want to attract world-class talent. You and me are competing, and we're both competing for the same private equity group to bring in some money.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're competing to hire the next rock star. Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
use my background for an advantage. Look, I'm committed. I've shown that I will go follow through. I graduated undergrad. I graduated law school. I've started companies and I've sold companies. My track record is my selling point to attract people or money or opportunity to me, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I would definitely do that. And understand that they can't ever, the paper that you get by graduating stays with you, right? That's who you are now. So you get to carry that with you as this world changes, and you just never know. And when you're young, you don't realize how long, like, again, I've been out of law school since 2000. So what is that, 13, 14 years? It seems like an eternity. I'm only 36.
Yeah.
Okay. I still have another 13 years. I'm still not 50.
Yeah. True.
So I can double and I have had 12 companies in many different sectors and industries, and I've raised over $15 million for different companies of mine. I've sold 6 and 7 figure businesses, all in 12, 13 years. And I'm sitting here today, and I would never have thought I would own a restaurant, a construction company, or a coffee business when I was in law school. So you just never know. So, I would say focus on, especially when you're young and you don't have kids and you don't have a family, or if you do, then it's still worth it. This is the time to build your resume that will last you forever. This is that time to find a way to differentiate yourself forever. Is college expensive? Yes. Do I think it teaches you what you need to? No. Do I think it's going to make you successful? No. Yeah, I didn't learn shit in college that I use in reality. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I had my degree was regional development. It's basically SimCity in real life. I mean, that's basically what I did. About zoning laws and agricultural and water planes, and it was just, but that doesn't matter, because if I was hiring someone and I had the difference between 2 people and one of them had a college degree and one didn't, but everything else was the same, the kid with the college degree is getting the job.
Yeah.
Because I know that they stuck through it. That they were able to juggle being an adult, having all the freedom, being around parties and whatnot, but still were able to graduate and see it through. But they take, that. So for me, yes, long-winded answer, but I would definitely still go back to school. I would still graduate. I would still get the degree, and I would focus on a secondary. I'm always learning now. So, I think learning is important, and whether you have a degree or not, always be learning. And if you can get a piece of paper to show that you've done it, it's going to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Longer answer, but it got all the points that, people are dealing with right now. Like, cause I know that's a big thing for a lot of, my friends in entrepreneurship, myself included, is, whether you want to stick it out with college or really just pursue, what you get jazzed about and excited about. So it's definitely valuable to, for me and my listeners to hear that. So I appreciate that. And with that being said too, with mentors that you've had or haven't had, how, what does that look like you, and kind of like how you've learned from mentors, or did you just kind of figure it out on your own?
No, mentorship and coaching is critical. I pay business coaches even today. Myself, I have mentors that mentor me for free. I mentor. I'm a mentor at San Diego State's Live School of Entrepreneurship. I'm one of the mentors there. I have mentees, and I have people that pay me to help business coach. I think it's a mistake if you don't do those things. Even LeBron James has a coach.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods has a coach. Tom Hanks has an acting coach. No matter how good you are, it doesn't mean that they're better than you or that they know your industry better, but they hold you accountable. They help guide you through it. You get to leverage their relationships. I wouldn't be where I am without mentors and coaches, and I've always had them, and I always will. There's a difference. A mentor gives you free advice. The level of advice is different. When you pay somebody, you get to hold them accountable to make sure they provide value. So my business coaches, the reason I pay them is not because I think they're teaching me something that I don't know. They're helping me navigate uncertain waters, and they're opening doors for me that I just can't open on my own or as fast on my own. They have some things that I want, so I'm strategic on who I pay money to help me. And then my mentors I have a lot of them. I have probably close to 10 mentors that I share my entire journey with. Sometimes I call them and they don't say a word. And I just call and say, this happened about a month ago. David Meltzer, he's one of my mentors. He's been one of my mentors for 30 years. We're actually writing a book together that will hopefully publish this summer, July 11th.
That's awesome.
On mentorship and the 30 years that we've been friends. I mean, he's known me since he was in high school and I was a little kid playing Little League. Our moms were best friends.
Oh, really?
And I've interned in all of his companies. And, I went to law school because of him and was going to go work at Lee Steinberg Sports Agency when he was the CEO of it. So, but I can call him right now, and I have in a few. I want to say it was probably 5 or 6 weeks ago now. I called him and I started rambling. I was just like, "Hey, Dave, this is what I'm dealing with. Blah 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 blah." And he probably said 3 words, and then at the end, I was like, "Dude, thank you so much. That was so helpful." Just me having to articulate my situation to him made me come up with my own ideas, and him just being an ear that I trusted to be the ear that was listening the way I wanted was the confidence I needed to say the extra few words that I wouldn't have said to my mother, right? Or my friend who doesn't understand business. And it makes me better. Sometimes he gives me real advice. Sometimes he tells me not to do something and I don't listen to him. And sometimes he tells me not to do something and I listen to him. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just having them in your corner is so critical. And so I can't stress mentorship and business coaches enough. If you don't have a business coach and you running your own company, okay, that's fine. You're good luck. And you don't have mentors and you're running companies, good luck. It'd be like LeBron James not having a coach. And is he better than LeBron? No, but he makes LeBron better. And there's a reason that LeBron spends $1 million on fitness coaches and chefs and all of this. He spends $1 million a year on coaches.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he's the best player in the world.
Yeah, he definitely reaps that investment like you were talking about. It's cheap when you look at it from the ROI standpoint of he's 34 and crushing it still.
Yeah, exactly. So. But the point there is no matter what level you are, thinking you're better than having mentors and coaches, it's a mistake. And if someone says they can't afford it, I'm going to argue you can't afford not to.
That's
because if I like, I don't want to speak randomly. So I'll speak, if someone gave me $100 and said, it's all I can afford. Can you help me? And I made them $300 or helped them make $300, then now they made $300.
Yeah.
So next month they pay me $100 and I make them another $300. They're up $400 in the 2 months. If they're like, you know what? I got to spend $100 to go out to the nightclub because my social life's more important, then they don't make that.
Yeah.
That's the choice.
Fair, honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I say that because a lot of people say to me, Jeff, why do you pay? Like I have tons of free mentors. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be successful whether I pay a coach or not, but I don't want to just be successful. I want to be extra successful.
Yeah.
I want to be extraordinarily successful. And so I'm willing to invest. I'm willing to make that payment because when I pay somebody to be my coach, I get to hold them accountable to help. They're going to take my calls. They're completely invested and their reputation's on the line with me, which means that they're going to go the extra mile to make sure I'm successful. A mentor isn't going to do all that. Like a mentor, when they're free time and they're available, they help me and they don't have to live with the outcome. And therefore, one piece of advice is never take anyone's opinion who doesn't have to live with the outcome.
Right?
That's
a good point. Yeah. Honestly.
Everyone has opinions. I can give you opinions all day, but if I don't have to live with the outcome, who cares?
Yeah.
Listen to it, put it into your Rolodex of information when you're going to make your decision. But having someone that you pay who's on your team, it's just like an employee. You pay someone to be an assistant. You pay someone to be, an administrative this or an accountant or, whatever your business is, a salesperson. Pay someone to be your coach.
Yeah.
And then also have free coaches, free mentors. And you should have a combination of both.
So from what I'm hearing too, I know a lot of young people specifically, they buy courses, right? I feel like it's a cheaper alternative. But at the same time, I feel like from what you said, if you buy a course, you're kind of missing out on a lot of that personalized, like nitty gritty. This is the route that you should be, I guess, pivoting or whatnot. Advice.
Well, like I just did a course with Forbes and it'll be coming out in the next month or two and you can buy it and please do. And it will teach you how to start a company. And it's cool. I'm not going to sell against myself here, but the level of information you're going to get is evergreen. It's a course, right? I'm speaking high level. I'm speaking about stuff only so deep. If you paid me the same money to be your personal coach, we're getting into your business. You're asking me specific questions. I'm saying, how can I help you? Oh, I really want to meet so-and-so. Can I help them meet so-and-so? Can I use you get access to me and my relationships and my experience. My course, you get access to information that I said that everyone else is getting access to. So it's like taking a course at college, right? There's no difference. You go to college, you can learn algebra in algebra class. But if that teacher came to your house every day and your business needed algebra, and that teacher who was taught algebra 1 in college was sitting next to you in your business and using that algebra and applying it directly to your business, not just examples that were in the textbook, that's more functional algebra. That's going to help you. So courses are great. If you want to learn something, courses are great. You should buy courses. I buy courses. I buy courses all the time. But that doesn't mean that I stop there. And if, again, I think entrepreneurs especially need to invest in themselves. And what that means is buy courses, online courses, free courses, paid for courses, mentors, and paid coaches. You do all of that, you're going to have a team around you of rock stars and you'll be successful.
Yeah, no, that's great advice for sure. Because I feel like that is something a lot of young people are like, I don't really have the money right now. Like coaches are expensive, but like you said, you almost can't afford not to if you're really wanting to get to that next level.
Well, yeah. How bad do you want it? I mean, you don't need to pay 10 grand. I mean, yes, some coaches cost 10 grand a month. I'm sure if you want Tony Robbins to teach you how to be a motivational speaker, you can't afford that. That's fine.
It's gonna be
there's a lot
penny.
of people between Tony Robbins and nobody. Right? I mean, I'm not a motivational speaker, so I'm not the guy. But if I was, and I was just me trying to be a motivational speaker, I speak a lot on stage. I can teach somebody. I don't teach this, and this is just an example. But if someone came to me and was like, I can't have a ton of money to invest, but I have a couple $100 a month. Will you teach me motivational speaking? Okay. There's someone like me out there who is an entry level who can give them those tips. Who can say, you know what? Let's get you on a few stages. I'm sure like motivational speakers want to get on stages. Well, I know a lot of people who can get the people on stages. I speak all the time. So I can open those doors. All of a sudden, how cheap is that now? Now you're on a few stages. You're getting better. You're getting content of you on stages. Now you're getting more stages. Eventually you're getting paid to speak. You made that investment. It's just like buying your computer to run your business.
Yeah.
You're starting a digital marketing agency. You buy a computer before you have clients. Cost $2,000, right?
Yeah.
So it's just people are thinking about it wrong. And I won't lie to you. I mean, I make a living beating people who think incorrectly.
Yeah, no, that's like the name of the game, to be honest. And
but you're right. Most people don't do it. Yeah.
So we're wrapping up here, but I got a few questions I always like to ask my guests at the end of the show. So the first one of those being, what is, in your opinion, the most valuable skill that you developed?
Problem solving.
Love it. Yeah, just being able to dissect problems at a high level.
I mean, or pivot quickly. I mean, you're constantly making decisions without all the information you need. And how you're able to do that and adapt and pivot is going to be whether or not you're successful or fail.
Love it. Okay, so the next one coming up is, what is some advice that you hear often, but you personally really disagree with? You just think that it's bad advice, and when you hear it, you're just kind of like, why,
That's a good question. I would say it's get experience before you start a company. I think experience is the most overrated prerequisite to starting a company. You can go build experience. I'll start with nothing and let's see who wins.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting, because I always hear, experience is like so valuable when you go into stuff, but I guess you can leverage other people's experience too while putting your own personal touch on it.
I mean, my experience in digital marketing shows you, I didn't know how to literally use a computer, but I partnered with Neil Patel, the best, and we worked with companies that were top 100 websites in the world. And that doesn't, and so somebody else can say, well, I'm going to go learn how to be a digital marketer and build my expertise up for the next couple of years. And then I'm going to start my own digital marketing company. That's cool. Have fun doing that. I'm going to not do that. And I'm going to leverage what I'm already good at. And I'm going to partner with people who have the experience. And then I get the experience by proxy.
Yeah.
So, there's no way to experience. There's no way to teach it. You have to, the only way you're going to, it's like telling someone the stove is hot. Until you touch that thing, you don't know what hot feels like. So the only way you're going to know is to try it. And who cares if you fail? Like, failure is learning. It's lessons. We fail every day. Big deal.
No, that's awesome, because you're getting that experience either way, but you're just not, I guess, using it almost as an excuse to keep like pushing it off. So then the last question I have here is, even with all the success that you have had as an entrepreneur, what is the biggest change that you're looking to make either in your life or business, either from a personal standpoint or looking at it from something you want to change in your business?
I'm pivoting more towards helping others than just myself. I'm at that transition stage.
Mm-hmm.
I've built a lot of companies. I've had a lot of personal success. And now in today's world, I'm having more fun helping others, like my mentees and the people that I work with, and seeing their success is actually what is giving me it's not a money. I don't make money from doing it, but I actually feel better. I have this high that I get internally, this great feeling when I see them having success. And so I want more of it. And maybe it's because I have a teenage daughter and I have kids, and obviously I'm invested in their success too, but I'm definitely transitioning more towards how can I help other people as opposed to just continuing to build successful companies for myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely have helped a lot of people today, I feel like, when they play this back. So. I know for sure I'm going to have some awesome takeaways that I'm going to be implementing into my life and business. So appreciate that. And, the listeners, where's the best place for them to follow up with you at, after the show goes live?
Well, of course, social media, at Fenster Jeff is my Instagram, which you can always follow me and message me, and I'll do my best to respond to everybody. And LinkedIn is another great place, Facebook. JeffFenster.com is coming soon, my website. And I'm actually launching my own podcast, which will be live in the coming weeks, called Unwinding Success. So please follow along, because I'm going to be interviewing some incredible guests there as well, and really breaking down and reverse engineering what made them successful and some tactics that people out there can use to be successful themselves. Yeah. Success is a formula. It's not something you're born with.
Definitely. Well, appreciate you a ton for coming on today, Jeff.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And that is a wrap, everyone. So my friend Clayton from Mizzou, so shout out to Clayton, gave me an idea. And his idea was, at the end of each episode, what if I ran down the top 3 takeaways from the episode and then just a little bit of personal insight mixed in there. So that is exactly what I'm going to be doing here. And today's episode with Jeff Fenster, I genuinely really enjoyed. And the takeaways, it makes me rethink how I do some things, and it's very valuable. So the main 3 things, the first one is when Jeff brought up how the biggest mistake everyone makes is that they follow the crowd, basically do the same thing somebody else is doing. They're like, oh, if this person had success doing this, why don't, I just do that and then I'll have success too. Well, speaking from experience here, that works. You can copy and paste success, but you're not going to win in the long run doing that, because you don't have the edge. You don't have something that's different. You might, get a small sector and say small, but if you're looking to go big, and if you're looking to not just be successful, but be extra successful, you have to look at what people aren't doing, right? And think, how can I do something different? Like, where is my industry not servicing the customer the best? Or how is my product, how could it better service point, whatever it is, or just in life in general too, and how you're living life. Like, I feel like that's a huge takeaway for life. The biggest mistake everyone makes is they follow the crowd. I actually, thinking about that right now, I feel like that's huge, because so many people, they want to feel, I guess, like normal, accepted, which is great. I do too. But you want to make sure that you're not sacrificing what you know is going to be best for your future and what you really want out of your life, your unique life, to be accepted and to fit in. You don't have to go to parties. If you want to go to parties, that's great. I'm not against it at all. But if that's not you, don't feel pressured like you gotta. Like, I found a lot more this year that I actually am more of an introvert than I ever thought, which is weird, because I've always liked being around people. But when I had time to think, I was like, dang, I like working by myself, getting stuff done. So that's number 1. Number 2 is attract rock stars into your life by letting them have the freedom to be a rock star, right? So life or business, attract them into your life or business. Rock stars are not easy to come by. And when you do come by a rock star, it might not be the best fit, and you might get a little excited, and you're like, oh, I gotta have like this person. They spent like over, whatever in this sector, and I really like them, which is great. It might be a good fit, but it might not. And in order to get them onto your business, especially at a younger stage or into your life, like it's harder because they require more resources, right? They require usually more money, and that's where you can start eating away at margins. So if you still want to have those people and you still want to maintain healthy margins, you might want to look into, opportunity and lifestyle, offering something unique that their current company isn't, and really selling on that. What, the opportunity and lifestyle could be with you or with your company. And equity, right? That one you're still giving away kind of like money in a sense. And I understand, some people are all for, going to partnerships. Other ones, similar to me, I like to retain 100% equity, just because, up to this point in my life, right? Things change when I get new information. My opinions tend to change at times depending on what that information is. So maybe it won't always be like that. But I just know that I find giving away equity, it can be a slippery slope where you can put yourself and the company in bad situations, especially if a partnership doesn't work out. Because partnerships can be great if they're great, but there are also, clearly partnerships that haven't gone well. So that's a whole nother, segment for partnerships. And I'm sure once I have Roland Frazier on the show, he's a guy that's going to be awesome about talking with partnerships. But that's just, so I'll leave that for that episode with Roland. But the third thing is, you need a coach or mentor, right? So coach, mentor, course, that's what we talked about. And this is something I'm reevaluating, right, and looking at now, because I have a lot of courses. I have paid some people for consulting, but I haven't done like a reoccurring coach scenario. And it's because I'm at a point in my company where I don't necessarily feel comfortable investing in that. But guess what? If you want to be great at whatever it is you're doing, you're not going to be comfortable. You're going to have to make economic decisions that are informed. You're not giving your money to somebody who's on Instagram and he looks awesome and you didn't do any background research. No. That's a huge thing, is you want to know who you're buying from. If you're buying a course, or if you're buying, monthly coaching or whatever it is, do your research. Figure out that the person who you're going to be paying has actually had levels of success that you would be happy swapping with at that point right now. If you wouldn't, then why are you bothering, right? Unless you need to go to kind of like a mid-level of success with your economic situation. And then you can, once you're there, then you can, pay a higher level coach. But make sure that they do it and they're not a charlatan that just, says, yeah, I've done this and helped these many. No, do your research and see what they have actually implemented. But like you said, the best athletes, the best, business owners, they have coaches, okay? And that doesn't mean that they need them. It means that they're humble enough to realize that they don't know everything, and that there are still parts of their life and their business that can be better executed. And that's why they have coaches, to see that. Because a different perspective that has been there before, that knows valuable information, can see stuff and kind of have those fine tweaks that courses can't have. Because like Jeff said, courses are evergreen, but coaches really get down to the nitty gritty and care more about your actual results. So with that being said, that is the three main things that I took away from this episode. Like I said, I really enjoyed the episode with Jeff. Great guy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Make sure, if you did, to give us a review. It helps a ton. Send me a DM too. Send Jeff a DM if you enjoyed it. I love reading your guys' DMs, especially the ones that you can consistently shoot those. I appreciate you a ton, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys.